Okay, so episode 45 of the Jeff Tate Sports Podcast on this Friday afternoon. We're just under 2 hours away from round two and round three's coverage beginning on ESPN, and last night was a very interesting night of the draft. Really quick, next week I plan on breaking down all of the draft. Today's just going to be a quick one about the first round. Not much on it exactly. I'm looking at doing a joint podcast with my friend Tom or my friend Cole a little bit about the draft, maybe even one on one day and the other on the other day, kind of see what they thought. Tom is a big Bears fan, so maybe more of a Bears perspective on the draft. Cole is a good Lions fan, also is a Chargers fan, so maybe we'll get two different perspectives from Cole, and then we'll get some perspectives from Tom, looking at Zoom, trying to figure out how I could get them on the podcast without it sounding bad when I publish it. So last night, the first three picks went pretty much how I expected it. Burrow, Chase Young, top two. The Lions at three, and as a Lions fan, I was hoping for a trade, wanted to trade back, but I don't think the Lions, and I was talking to my friend this morning about how the Lions didn't really sell that they wanted a quarterback. And it was pretty obvious the Lions didn't want a quarterback. Why would you want one when you have Matthew Stafford? But if they would have done a better job saying, well, we really like Tua, then maybe you would have gotten the Dolphins or the Chargers to trade up and we get more picks. But they drafted Jeff Okudah, who I think was the best player available there. Okudah's a lockdown corner, and in the NFC North, with the teams we have and the receiving options we have, like the Bears have Allen Robinson. You're probably going to have to guard him most times when you play the Bears if you're Okudah. The Vikings have Adam Thielen and now Justin Jefferson. And the Packers have Devontae Adams. So you need a corner, and I think it was the right decision. We'll get to kind of what they need to do tonight, maybe in a few. After that, Andrew Thomas, Tua, and Herbert went back to back. What I'm reading, and I don't know what my thoughts are on it right now. They're saying the steal of the draft came with Isaiah Simmons at number 8. I thought Isaiah Simmons would go fourth to the Giants, but Dave Gettleman, their GM, really likes to run the football, and he decided to go with an offensive lineman and Andrew Thomas, who also wasn't expected to be the first offensive lineman drafted. A lot of things kind of surprise people. One thing that I wanted to mention to you guys real quick is a lot of these mock drafts are built on the combine, kind of what they think teams are going to do. Obviously, they're not exactly accurate. Mocks were very far off from tonight, or from last night. Just take the wide receiver position, for example. All analysts pretty much believe Henry Ruggs would be the third receiver taken after either Jeudy or Lamb, and then either Jeudy or Lamb would go after that. And Henry Ruggs went first out of receivers, number 12 overall to the Raiders. Tyreek Hill-esque player, and just shocked me, honestly. Some other things that really shocked a lot of people. The Raiders at 19 took Damon Arnette. And as a guy that's watched a lot of Ohio State, Damon Arnette is legit. And I'm very surprised that he wasn't in first-round mock drafts. He ended up being the he was the fourth corner drafted before guys like Noah Igbingohine went to the Dolphins, and Jeff Gladney, who from TCU. He was the fourth corner drafted, and I'm not surprised. I know people say that they were. Ohio State is DBU right now. 7 guys in the last 6 drafts have been first-round draft picks that were cornerbacks from Ohio State. Off the top of my head, I can name Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, Eli Apple. You have Garyon Conley, and Brian Roby was one, or Bradley Roby, and these two, yep. Okudah and Damon Arnette. And it's a recruiting pitch. You talk about this, hey, we get you to the NFL. And my friends will disagree with me on this. They had the first 3 picks in the draft. Yes, Joe Burrow played and became a star at LSU, but I don't dismiss the 3 years he spent at Ohio State with Urban Meyer and Ryan Day. I don't think you can just throw that out the window. And that means they had Burrow, Chase Young, and Okudah. And like Burrow in his Heisman speech, in his pre-draft stuff, he's talked about how Ohio State developed him. He just said, when I got to LSU, Joe Brady and an explosive offense kind of unleashed me. And I just say, like, I think Burrow and Ohio State are like, you can say those two in the same sentence and it doesn't like discredit things. The surprise of the first round, and I wasn't surprised Jordan Love was taken in the first round. I think Jordan Love's a lot better, and people are kind of grading him out right now. A lot of people say his college career very similar to Patrick Mahomes, and I think that's kind of why the Packers jumped up a little and surprised people by taking Jordan Love. He's probably not going to play for 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years because of Aaron Rodgers, but they want him to develop under Aaron Rodgers. And Matt LaFleur really liked Jordan Love, so they traded up from 30 to get him at 26. And I find it interesting because a lot of my friend Max, who's a Packers fan, really wanted them to take a receiver because that's what they think, or that's what Aaron Rodgers needs, is help on the offensive side. And I agree with them that they probably shouldn't have taken a quarterback, but it worked with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers when they drafted Rodgers. Brett Favre was a year younger the time Rodgers got drafted. So, I mean, they hit the home run with Aaron Rodgers. They're hoping for a late first round magic here with Jordan Love. We'll see. I like him a lot. The first running back taken last night was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Surprised me, honestly. I had him as the 4th best running back in this class. What I've read a lot, though, is he is probably a perfect, out of all the running backs, the perfect fit for the Chiefs offense. And gives Patrick Mahomes a weapon out of the backfield. Very good pass catcher. As my friend Tanner mentioned to me, he is one of the best pass catchers that comes out of the backfield that there's been in a long time. He's only 5'7", but the Chiefs, him and Damian Williams, will create a lot of nightmares, let's just say, for defenses. Running down some stuff real quick, I really, another pick I liked a lot was the Cowboys taking CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb kind of slid a little to 17th overall, and I think it was a great pick. CeeDee Lamb is an explosive athlete, and now that gives Dak Prescott CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup, and that's some pretty good options, and it will give Dallas more explosiveness on offense. You got Zeke running the ball, and then you got these 3 good playmakers. Another guy kind of liked in terms of where he went was Jerry Jeudy, 15th to the Broncos. I think the Broncos really could use some receiving help. Drew Lock looks like he'll be the starter this upcoming year. He can throw that ball, and Jeudy, and you got guys like Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, should be interesting in Denver. Javon Kinlaw at 14th overall to the 49ers. That's a pretty good pick because the 49ers already have an explosive front, and now you give them another guy in Javon Kinlaw. People were kind of down on this one because they traded DeForest Buckner for this pick. But when I look at that, I say DeForest Buckner, they probably couldn't have afforded him if they wanted to afford everybody else, like Bosa, Armstead, D Ford, a lot of guys that you had to pay eventually, and DeForest Buckner was kind of the odd man out. So you replace him with Javon Kinlaw. Much better cost-efficient option, and they kind of went from there. When I'm looking tonight, and we get second and third round tonight, or real quick, I want to do this. Some guys that slid out of the first round surprised me. Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama, I really thought he'd be a first-round draft pick. I really liked him a lot. Grant Delpit, I thought would be a first-round draft pick. He wasn't. I read that safeties, and I didn't really know this as much, safeties go off the board a lot later. They're not seen as the number one need in a defense, which I'm not saying that they are, but I'm surprised that guys like McKinney and Delpit didn't go. Josh Jones, the best available offensive lineman according to CBS Sports. He's one that I'm very interested to see what the Lions do. Lions draft third tonight, and then they have 2 third-round picks. And they have a lot of talent there that they can pick. A guy like Josh Jones wouldn't be bad. Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State would also not be a bad option. Give them some versatile edge rusher in him. I think they don't really need safety, but it wouldn't be horrible in my opinion if they got a guy like Xavier McKinney or a guy like Grant Delpit to pair with Jeff Okudah now. Also a guy that I mentioned on Monday when I was talking about guys I want them to target in the second, third round. Ross Blacklock from TCU is still there. AJ Epinesa is still there. And you have all the top running backs. You have Jonathan Taylor, you have J.K. Dobbins, and you have DeAndre Swift. And I know a lot of people out there think the Lions might take a running back tonight, so stay tuned. Also, receiver Laviska Shenault is being talked about as a possible pick. They have options, and I think it's hard to mess it up. I hope they don't mess it up because guys in the second, third round are really can be your foundation. And when they already have 2 third-round picks, I think that is crucial for them to hit well on this pick and not mess it up. So we'll see. So this will wrap up episode 45 of the Jeff Tate podcast. I know this one was a little bit shorter, but I think 11 minutes on this topic goes a long way to help people maybe that didn't watch it as much kind of understand what happened. Forgot to mention, Tua went 5th to the Dolphins. Not really surprised. They had a doctor that talked to, or that the Dolphins trust a lot and a lot of league GMs trust, and said Tua looked good, believes the hip is completely healed. So he probably would have gone higher had he not had the injury concerns. So we'll see. So I'll be back here Monday. I don't know if it's going to be with a friend, how that's going to look, but we will have a podcast, episode 46 on Monday. And the best part about that is we'll have the complete draft, break down everything for the Lions, hopefully some Bears, Chargers talk for those of you that are interested in that. And maybe next week I just devote to talking about all these teams. Maybe I get my friend Max on the podcast and we talk Packers. We'll see. Should be fun. I'll keep you guys updated on the Twitter. Have a good weekend and enjoy the draft.